What if I told you that the most beautiful piece in your garden could start in your trash bin? This summer, we're taking everyday waste and turning it into bold, colorful art that will transform your backyard. From painted milk cans to umbrella blossom shades, these are projects you'll want to try immediately, and trust me, you'll never look at junk the same way again. Welcome to Mind Over Decoration, where creativity meets sustainability. In this video, we'll explore 17+ summer upcycling ideas that prove beauty can come from the most unexpected places. Use the timestamps to skip to the ideas you love most, and if you have questions or thoughts, drop them in the comments. If you enjoy what you see, take these ideas, adapt them, and bring them to life with your own style and resources. Maybe to you, I'm just another face on a screen. But behind this, there's a story and a family who dreams big. Every like, comment, and subscribe keeps that dream alive. When you subscribe, you're not just supporting a channel, you're helping hope grow, one click at a time. Thank you for being here, and for truly seeing me. The summer air carries a warmth that feels like a gentle embrace, and in the far corner of the garden, an old milk can stands reborn. Once dented, rusted, and forgotten in a dusty shed, it now wears a coat of cheerful pastel paint, its surface adorned with brush strokes of daisies and swirling vines. The transformation is so complete that it seems almost alive, as though the flowers painted upon it have somehow inspired the ones planted within to bloom brighter. The can stands tall, holding a lush arrangement of petunias that spill over its rim in a cascade of pinks, purples, and whites. Their blossoms dance in the soft summer breeze, nodding gently to passing bees. Around its base, marigolds flash their golden heads like tiny suns, while lavender sends ribbons of fragrance into the air, mixing with the sweetness of nearby roses. Sunlight filters through the canopy of a fruit tree, dappling the scene in warm, shifting patterns. A ripe apple drops with a muted thud onto the grass, rolling lazily toward the cobblestone path. Somewhere nearby, the faint hum of a bumblebee adds a steady rhythm to the stillness, a reminder that life here is always moving, always blooming. The milk can is no longer just a container, it has become a storyteller. Every scratch beneath the paint hints at its long service in another time, perhaps carrying fresh milk from farm to table. Now, it serves a different purpose, one that celebrates beauty rather than utility. Its presence draws the eye, a quiet focal point among the riot of summer colors. Visitors to the garden linger here, fingers grazing the cool metal, marveling at how something destined for the trash has found new life. Even in the fading light of evening, when the sun dips low and the garden glows with a softer hue, the milk can holds its place, steadfast, colorful, and proud. It is proof that the garden is not only a place for plants to grow, but for objects to be reborn. And in the heart of summer, when everything feels fleeting, The painted milk can stand as a gentle reminder. With a touch of care, even the most forgotten things can bloom again. The summer garden hums with life, and from the beams of a weathered pergola, bright splashes of color dangle in the air. They are not ordinary baskets, but old water gallons reborn, their once plain plastic skins now cloaked in layers of cheerful paint, turquoise, lemon yellow, and coral pink. Delicate hand-painted flowers spiral up their sides, curling into vines and blossoms that seem almost to move with the breeze. Each gallon has been cut and shaped to cradle a nest of green life. Nasturtiums spill out in fiery shades of orange and red, their round leaves catching drops of morning dew. Beside them, trailing ivy tumbles like a green waterfall, brushing softly against the heads of marigolds below. The air is heavy with fragrance, part floral, part earthy, carried lazily by the warmth of the day. A soft creak escapes from the pergola as the gallons sway, a slow, rhythmic dance that mirrors the sway of tall sunflowers nearby. The sunlight plays on their painted surfaces, making the colors glow more vividly with every passing moment. Even in the calm, there's movement, the darting of a butterfly, the rustle of leaves, the flutter of a wren slipping between the hanging planters in search of seeds. Once, these gallons had no beauty. They were containers for water, functional and unremarkable, destined to be discarded when their purpose ended. But here, suspended among blooms and buzzing life, they have become something entirely new, part sculpture, part sanctuary for plants. A child wanders into the garden, tilting their head to look up at the hanging colors. Fingers reach toward a ripe strawberry peeking out from the leaves, its red so deep it seems almost unreal. The taste is sweet, warm from the sun, and in that moment, the transformation feels even more magical. The garden doesn't see these gallons as trash. It sees them as vessels for life, for joy, for beauty that spills into the air and makes people pause, smile, and dream. In the heart of summer, when the world feels golden and alive, these hanging gardens sway gently, whispering a quiet truth: with a little imagination, anything can bloom. In the heart of the summer garden, a splash of unexpected color curves playfully under the shade of a flowering cherry tree. From a distance, it looks like a bright banana resting on the grass, but step closer and its secret is revealed: a once-forgotten car tire, reborn as a whimsical garden chair. The transformation is nothing short of delightful. The rubber surface, once black and worn, now gleams in a coat of sunshine yellow, dotted with crisp white polka dots that seem to laugh in the sunlight. Its gentle curve cradles anyone who sits upon it, offering a surprising comfort that invites lingering among the flowers. Nearby, another tire turnchair rests in shades of soft mint and coral, each hue brushed on with loving care. They sit together beside a weathered wooden table, the perfect spot for sipping lemonade while the breeze carries the scent of blooming roses and lavender. Bees drift lazily between the snapdragons and marigolds, their soft buzzing adding a melody to the quiet afternoon. This part of the garden has become a gathering place, not just for people, but for stories. Friends sit in these chairs on warm evenings, watching the golden light melt into dusk. Children climb into them during the day, pretending they are riding on giant bananas through jungles of flowers. The chairs are both sculpture and seat, art and function woven into a single playful shape. The grapevine arbor nearby sends dappled shadows dancing across the bright colors, as though nature itself is joining in the decoration. The ground is sprinkled with fallen petals, each one a reminder of the season's abundance. Long ago, these tires carried cars across endless roads. They knew the hum of highways, the heat of asphalt. But now they know something gentler, the softness of grass beneath them, the laughter of guests, the quiet hum of summer life. In their new form, they don't just hold weight, they hold moments. The kind of moments that linger in memory long after the flowers fade, a shared smile, the taste of fresh lemonade, the feeling of sun-warmed paint under fingertips. Here in the garden, the banana chairs are more than seats. They are proof that even the most ordinary, worn-out things can curve into something beautiful, something that makes the heart rest as easily as the body. In the heart of summer, the garden is alive not only with blooms, but with the flutter and song of birds. From the branch of an old oak tree, something unexpected sways gently, a humble metal pan, once blackened from years over a stove, now reborn as a delicate cradle for seed. Its surface gleams in a coat of soft pastel blue, with tiny white daisies painted along the rim. Beneath the morning sun, it holds a scattering of golden sunflower seeds, their faint sheen catching the light. A pair of sparrows land softly, their tiny claws gripping the edge. They peck and chatter, unaware of the beauty they've become part of. Just a few steps away, two more pans hang from the beams of a pergola, painted in coral and turquoise. The breeze spins them ever so slightly, their colors bright against the backdrop of white hydrangeas and lavender spikes swaying in the warmth. Finches flit between them, pausing to feast before darting into the safety of leafy branches. The air carries a mixture of scents, roses heavy with perfume, lavender rich and calming, and the faint earthy tang of birdseed. Bees hum steadily nearby, weaving between blooms, and somewhere in the distance, the soft trickle of a fountain joins the quiet summer symphony. These bird feeders were not made in a factory. They were shaped by time, by heat, by hands that once cooked meals over their surfaces. They carry the marks of their past, small dents, faint scratches, but now those imperfections are part of their charm. As the day stretches on, the sun shifts, casting dappled patterns through the leaves onto the painted metal. A cardinal arrives, its red feathers vivid against the blue, tilting its head curiously before hopping in for a taste. It is a small thing, this upcycled feeder. But it draws life closer, stitching the garden together in ways only nature can. It feeds not just the birds, but the soul of the place, reminding anyone who sees it that beauty can be coaxed from the simplest, most forgotten objects. By evening, the pans sway again, empty now, their painted sides glowing in the last golden light. And tomorrow, they will be filled once more, ready to welcome another day of wings and song. In a quiet corner of the summer garden, the wall tells a story, not in words, but in wings. Butterflies of every shade and size rest there, their forms crafted from fragments of once whole ceramics. Plates, cups, and tiles, long shattered and scattered, have been pieced together again into something new, mosaics that seem ready to lift into the breeze. Each wing is a collage of memory. A sliver of blue and white china curves into the shape of a forewing. A pink floral teacup becomes the underside of a delicate hindwing. The patterns, once hidden inside cupboards, now catch sunlight and shimmer against the warm brick. Climbing roses reach upward, threading their thorny stems between the butterflies, their petals brushing the cool ceramic edges. The air here is thick with the sweet perfume of jasmine and the faint, honeyed scent of marigolds blooming at the wall's base. Bees visit often, drifting from flower to flower, occasionally pausing as if inspecting the colorful creatures that share their space. There is something timeless about these mosaics. They belong to no single moment, no single season. The ceramic pieces may have been part of breakfasts long past, wedding gifts from decades ago, or kitchen shelves in forgotten homes. Now, together, they have found a new kind of wholeness, one that is not about perfection, but about beauty born from what remains. In the late afternoon, the wall comes alive in a different way. The golden sunlight slants low, catching the glaze of the ceramics and making them glow from within. The butterflies seem almost to tremble, as though the heat and light might coax them into flight. Visitors linger here, fingertips tracing the cool, smooth arcs of each wing. They notice the tiny details, the curl of a painted vine on a tile fragment, the glint of gold trim along a plate shard. Every piece tells its own quiet story, yet together they form a chorus of color and light. The garden holds many treasures, but this wall is special. It doesn't just bloom with flowers, it blooms with memory, with art, with the magic of giving broken things a chance to soar again. And in the stillness of summer, as petals drift down and shadows grow long, the butterflies keep watch, wings forever open to the sun. The summer garden sings in many voices, the rustle of leaves, the hum of bees, the soft chatter of birds. But today, another sound joins the chorus, a gentle metallic whisper as wind spinners turn in the warm afternoon air. From the beams of a pergola and the low branches of a nearby maple, soda cans sway and spin, their spiral-cut bodies flashing bright bursts of color. Once silver and plain, marked only by logos and brand names, they now gleam in vivid coats of turquoise, crimson, and sunshine yellow. Painted daisies wind across the curves of one spinner, while another carries hand-brushed sunflowers whose petals seem to dance with every turn. As the breeze passes through, the spinners twirl, catching sunlight and scattering it like shards of liquid gold across the flower beds below. Zinnias and marigolds bask in the shifting glow, their own colors intensified by the kaleidoscope above them. The effect is playful, almost hypnotic, and it draws the eye upward, making the sky feel like part of the garden. Children love them most. They race along the path, trying to make the spinners turn faster, laughing as the colors blur into rainbows. Even adults, pausing to watch, find themselves smiling without quite knowing why. These wind spinners are more than decoration, they are small acts of transformation. The soda cans, destined for recycling bins or worse, have been given a new life in the open air. Their thin aluminum walls, once carrying nothing more than a sweet drink, now carry movement, color, and a kind of joy that can't be poured into a glass. In the quiet moments, when the breeze slows, the spinners rest. Their bright surfaces reflect fragments of the world around them: the deep blue of the sky, the warm gold of sunlight, the pink blush of climbing roses. They seem almost content, as if they know they've traded one purpose for another without losing their worth. By evening, the spinners turn slower, catching the last amber light before night settles in. They will spin again tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after, always ready to turn a passing breeze into a dance, always ready to remind anyone who looks up that even the simplest things can shine. In the heart of summer, when the garden hums with life, the sound of water threads through the warm air like a soft melody. Tucked between clusters of lavender and daisies, a curious fountain bubbles gently, not made from marble or bronze, but from a simple laundry detergent jug. The jug, once dull and utilitarian, now wears a coat of pastel blue, its surface alive with hand-painted sunflowers. A small copper spout emerges from its side, sending a slender stream of water into a shallow stone basin below. The petals of the painted flowers seem to lean toward the falling water, as though they too wish to drink from it. Nearby, another jug gleams in coral paint, its cheerful hue bright against the greenery. Water flows from it into a ceramic bowl, where flower petals float lazily, tiny boats drifting in a summer current. Bees pause at the basin's edge for a sip, wings glinting in the sun, while a butterfly flutters down to rest on a wet petal. The fountains do more than cool the air, they add life. Birds come often, perching on the rim to drink or splash. The gentle trickle masks the distant sounds of traffic, turning the garden into its own small world. Even the plants seem happier here, their leaves lush and glossy from the humid air the water brings. It's hard to imagine that these fountains began as discarded plastic containers. Their handles still carry faint traces of the past, scratches from storage, the ghost of a label that once declared ultra clean. Yet now they hold something far more precious than detergent, movement, sound, and the quiet beauty of repurposed life. As the day drifts into evening, the fountains catch the amber light, their painted colors glowing softly. The sound of water becomes deeper, richer, as shadows stretch across the garden path. A robin hops close, dipping its beak into the cool basin, unbothered by the closeness of human eyes. Here in the summer garden, the fountains stand as a reminder that beauty doesn't need to be bought new. It can be coaxed from the simplest, most overlooked things. And as the water flows on, it carries with it the story of transformation, from the hum of a laundry room to the heartbeat of a living, breathing garden. In a corner of the summer garden, something curious dangles from the pergola beams, objects that once shielded heads from wind, rain, and the weight of work. Now, instead of resting on shoulders, they cradle life. Old helmets, once scuffed and rusted, hang in the warm air, transformed into cradles of green. The first is a motorcycle helmet, its shell once black and dull, now painted in the soft sage of new leaves, decorated with tiny white flowers along its curve. From its open visor, rosemary spills over in fragrant sprigs, its sharp scent mingling with the sweeter notes of nearby lavender. When the wind moves through, the leaves sway like hair caught in a gentle breeze. Next to it, a pair of construction helmets hang side by side, their bright coral and turquoise colors glowing against the backdrop of a wooden fence. Mint leaves push outward in eager bursts, their cool aroma carried on the air. Basil stretches upward, leaves glossy in the sunlight, ready to be plucked for an evening meal. Each helmet tells a different story. Some once raced down open roads, engines roaring beneath them. Others bore the dust and grit of building sites, protecting workers from the fall of steel and stone. Their past lives left scratches and dents that no paint can hide, but those marks only deepen their charm. In the dappled shade of a grapevine arbor, more helmets sway gently, painted in bright summer tones, lemon yellow, deep teal, warm red. Each holds a different herb: oregano, sage, parsley, its roots nestled in soil, its leaves catching the late-day sun. Birdsong threads through the moment, and somewhere close, the quiet hum of bees at work. A gardener pauses here often, fingertips brushing through the herbs, lifting them to breathe in the scents. There's something grounding about it, the idea that objects built for protection now give life in another way. As the sun lowers, shadows stretch across the grass, and the helmets glow softly in the golden light. They are proof that usefulness doesn't end when an object's first purpose is over. In the right hands, it can begin again, blooming into something unexpected and beautiful. The summer garden bursts with life, flowers swaying in the breeze, bees weaving between petals, but one row along the fence seems different. The blooms there don't bend under the wind, and their colors never fade. They are not born from soil, but from something far humbler: plastic spoons. It began with a handful of old cutlery, scratched and mismatched, no longer fit for a table setting. But under the touch of a painter's brush, each spoon was reborn. Their bowls became petals, painted in every hue the garden could dream of: coral pink, sunflower yellow, ocean blue, deep violet. Mounted in clusters along a weathered wooden fence, the spoons now form giant flowers. Each one catches the sunlight, their glossy surfaces glimmering against the greenery. At a glance, they might be mistaken for real blooms. It's only up close that their secret becomes clear. Behind them, the living garden thrives, rows of lavender releasing their calming scent, zinnias flashing with bold summer colors, snapdragons nodding gently in the breeze. The plastic flowers stand like guardians, a playful echo of the blooms they protect. Children are drawn to them instantly. They run their hands over the smooth petals, counting how many colors they can find, laughing when they discover a flower made from spoons painted to look like tiny watermelons. Adults smile too, pausing to take photos, the unexpected beauty a reminder that art can bloom anywhere. These spoon flowers will never wilt. Rain only makes their colors shine brighter, and the sun does not fade them. If anything, it warms their painted surfaces until they glow. In winter, when the real flowers sleep, the spoons will stand watch, holding onto the memory of summer. The fence they adorn was once just a boundary, something to mark the edge of the garden. Now, it's a gallery, an ever-bright row of blossoms that whisper a quiet truth: beauty doesn't have to be delicate to be meaningful, and even the simplest, most ordinary objects can become part of something magical. As the afternoon light deepens into gold, the spoon flowers shine against the sky, their colors vivid and defiant. The breeze moves through the real blooms behind them, and together, plastic and petals sway in harmony, proof that nature and imagination can share the same garden. In the warmth of summer, the garden fence has taken on a curious new life. Denim legs sway lightly in the breeze, and from the pockets, blossoms spill out in a joyful cascade of color. Once faded and torn from years of wear, these jeans now stand tall, stitched not to a person, but to the living fabric of the garden itself. The first pair hangs slightly askew on the weathered fence, its once deep indigo softened to the pale blue of a summer sky. In its back pockets, petunias in shades of violet and white bloom as though they've always belonged there. The front pockets cradle marigolds, their golden faces turned toward the sun. A bit of trailing ivy escapes from a frayed hole at the knee, tumbling down toward the grass below. Along the brick wall nearby, other jeans hold fragrant herbs. Basil reaches upward in glossy green clusters. Mint spills over the edges, its cool scent carried on the air. Thyme, delicate and earthy, nestles into the folds of faded fabric. The air hums softly with bees, drawn by the flowers and the promise of nectar. Some jeans have been painted, coral, turquoise, lemon yellow, turning them into bursts of color that match the flowers they hold. Their waistbands are clipped securely, their legs dangling freely, as if ready to dance with the wind. The mix of colors, textures, and shapes feels both playful and unexpectedly elegant. There's something tender in the way the denim holds the plants. These jeans once walked city streets, worked in fields, sat around kitchen tables. They knew movement, weather, and time. Now they know stillness and growth. The threads that once held together human stories now cradle new life in soil and root. Visitors often stop here, running their fingers over the fabric, marveling at the strange beauty of a garment turned planter. Children giggle at the sight, imagining the jeans coming to life and walking away with their flowers in tow. As the sun begins to set, the jeans cast long, whimsical shadows against the fence. The colors of the flowers grow richer in the golden light, and the air feels softer, sweeter. In this quiet moment, the jeans seem almost to smile, content in their second life, standing as proof that even the most ordinary things can grow into something extraordinary. In the height of summer, the garden becomes a dance of color and light. Among the blooms, the air shimmers, not from heat alone, but from hundreds of tiny flashes that leap across petals and leaves. They come from the cracked mirror light catchers, each shard turning sunlight into a wandering beam. Against a weathered trellis, the shards are set into the shape of a sunburst. Their edges, smoothed by careful hands, catch the light and throw it outward in a scatter of brilliance. The lavender at their base seems to sway more brightly, as though leaning into the warm spotlight. Bees hover here longer, their wings glinting when they pass through a ray. On the brick wall nearby, a butterfly has taken shape from pieces of mirror in silver and pearl. The sun strikes its wings, sending light skipping over marigolds and snapdragons below. For a moment, it feels as though a real butterfly has landed, only to flicker and take flight again in fragments of light. Under the grapevine arbor, the hanging mirrors sway. Triangles, circles, and diamonds spin gently, each one catching the world in miniature, a flash of blue sky, a golden sunflower, a passing bird. As they move, the reflections leap from plant to plant, weaving the garden together with threads of light. These mirrors were once whole, framed and perfect, their surfaces smooth and unbroken. Time and accident shattered them, scattering them into sharp, jagged pieces. Yet here, they have found a new life, not as perfect reflections, but as playful ones, fractured and shifting with every breeze. Visitors to the garden are drawn to them immediately. They follow the beams of light across the ground, trying to catch them in their palms. Some stand still, letting the reflections dance across their faces, a mosaic of sun and shade. By evening, as the sun begins to sink, the mirrors soften their glow. The light they scatter turns warm, almost liquid, bathing the flowers in a gentle amber haze. In this hour, the garden feels like a dream half remembered, bright, warm, and fleeting. And as night falls, the mirrors rest, holding the day's light within them, ready to scatter it again when morning comes. As the summer day begins to fade, the garden shifts into a softer kind of magic. Shadows stretch long, and the air cools, carrying with it the faint perfume of jasmine and roses. Then, one by one, the firefly lanterns begin to glow. Suspended from tree branches and pergola beams, they sway gently in the evening breeze. Each one began life as a simple glass jar cradled by the bent frame of a wire hanger, objects too ordinary to notice on their own. Now, together, they hold tiny constellations of light. The glow inside is warm and steady, like captured fireflies refusing to fly away. Golden light spills through the glass, washing over the petals of lavender and the bright faces of marigolds. The flowers seem to lean toward the glow, as though they too are drawn to its quiet warmth. Under the grapevine arbor, the lanterns cast shifting patterns of light and shadow, moving with every ripple of wind. The leaves above filter the last traces of daylight, while below, roses and hydrangeas stand bathed in a gentle golden haze. It's here that the garden feels most alive, not loud and buzzing like midday, but calm, as if holding its breath in appreciation of the moment. These lanterns were not bought from a store. They were shaped by hand, each bend of wire purposeful, each jar chosen for its unique curve or clarity. Some jars still carry faint marks of their old lives, embossed logos, scratches from years of use, but these imperfections catch the light in unexpected ways, sending tiny sparks into the night air. Guests who wander the garden at dusk often pause beneath them, letting the glow fall across their faces. Conversations soften here, voices dipping into whispers as though afraid to disturb the magic. And then, as the evening deepens, the lanterns become more than decoration. They guide footsteps along the garden path, lighting the way with a warmth that feels both intimate and timeless. The air hums with the quiet sounds of night, the rustle of leaves, the chirp of crickets, the distant trickle of water. In this light, the garden is not just a place. It is a memory being made, a place where even wire and glass can hold the soul of summer in their glow. the center of the garden, where the sunlight falls just right, a shallow basin waits, shimmering with colors that rival the flowers themselves. This is no ordinary bird bath. Its base may be stone or ceramic, but its beauty blooms from something far humbler: bottle caps. Each cap, once the seal to a drink long finished, now carries a new purpose. Painted in bright summer hues, turquoise, coral, sunflower yellow, they have been set into patterns that twist and turn like a living bouquet. Some form the soft spirals of a rose, others the bold, open faces of daisies. Together, they create a mosaic that feels both playful and intricate. A finch flutters down first, its tiny feet tapping lightly on the edge. It leans forward, taking a sip, the water rippling and catching the colors beneath. Soon a sparrow joins in, and the two dance in quick movements, splashing droplets into the air. The sound of water mixing with bird song becomes a melody that carries across the garden. Around the bath, the blooms echo the colors in the mosaic. Marigolds flash their gold beside sprays of lavender. Zinnias nod in shades of pink, orange, and red. The bath is not just a source of water, it's a jewel set into the garden's crown. The caps tell a story if you look closely. Some still bear faint logos, a reminder of their past life. Others are brushed with layered paint, hiding their origins beneath strokes of color. Their circular shapes, once uniform, are now part of a larger design, proof that beauty often comes from the smallest, most overlooked things. As afternoon drifts toward evening, the bird bath catches the last rays of sun. Light dances across the caps, glinting in flashes that draw the eye like a beacon. A blackbird swoops in for a final drink before nightfall, its reflection rippling through the colors. When the garden falls quiet, the mosaic remains, holding the memory of the day in its patterns. It waits patiently for morning, for the return of wings and the gentle sound of water, ready once more to offer both beauty and life. In the far corner of the garden, the air hums with the mingled scents of lavender and marigolds, and there, hanging from the fence, rests something that seems almost out of place. Its surface is worn, its pattern unmistakable, the familiar grid of a waffle iron. But instead of steam and batter, it now cradles soil and blooms. The first is painted in a soft pastel pink, its edges lightly worn to reveal the metal beneath. Within its open grid, a cluster of tiny succulents nestle, their green and silver leaves spilling slightly over the sides. Sunlight catches on the faint glaze of their plump leaves, making them look almost frosted. Nearby, another waffle iron gleams in turquoise. Geraniums bloom from its frame, their red petals like drops of color against the cool blue. A coral-painted companion hangs beside it, overflowing with petunias in purple and white. The colors pop against the backdrop of a rustic wooden fence, framed by curling tendrils of ivy and the soft blush of climbing roses. Some waffle irons still carry their original silver, their handles rusted from years of kitchen work. These carry begonias, petals like delicate tissue, whose pinks and oranges catch the summer sun. The old hinges creak slightly when touched, a quiet reminder of the breakfasts they once helped create. Visitors pause here often, drawn not only by the unexpected sight but by the charm of it. The waffle irons, once purely functional, now seem to have a personality, each planter a little piece of history holding something alive and new. The garden itself seems to approve. Bees move lazily from one bloom to another, the air warm with the golden hum of summer. Shadows shift slowly, casting patterns from the iron grids onto the petals and leaves below. As evening comes, the colors deepen. The waffle irons take on a gentle glow, their painted surfaces warm against the fading light. The flowers they hold sway gently in the breeze, their movements soft but certain. These shabby chic planters prove that beauty often comes from what is saved, not what is bought. And as they hang quietly through the summer, they whisper a reminder to anyone who passes: the past can bloom again, in shapes and colors we never imagined. In a sunny corner of the garden, music blooms, not in notes or chords, but in colors and petals. Against the white picket fence, an old guitar rests, transformed from a vessel of sound into a cradle for life. Once it sang in smoky bars, strummed by hands that knew every fret and chord. Its strings are gone now, replaced by trailing ivy and a cascade of violet petunias spilling from the hollow where music once resonated. The body is painted in pastel turquoise, a canvas of swirling white flowers that echo the blossoms growing within. Nearby, on the weathered wall of the barn, another guitar hangs. Its sunburst finish has faded into warm amber and deep mahogany, but its hollow center is alive with marigolds, golden and bright as the summer sun, and soft sprays of sweet alyssum. The scent mingles with the roses climbing up the wall, creating an invisible melody carried on the breeze. In the garden's far corner, a broken electric guitar stands upright in a bed of sunflowers and hollyhocks. Painted in coral and lemon yellow, it gleams in the afternoon light. Its neck is wrapped in tiny succulents, each leaf a note in this silent song of growth. The guitars hold more than plants, they hold memories. Scratches from old gigs, dents from years of travel, the faded outline where a sticker once clung, all are still visible beneath the new paint and blooms. They tell the story of instruments that once filled rooms with music and now fill the garden with color. Visitors stop to look, some smiling in recognition, others pausing as if they can almost hear the faint echo of a melody. Children run their fingers along the guitar necks, imagining what they might sound like if strummed. In the golden light of evening, the flowers seem to hum softly, as though joining in the memory of song. Here, the music hasn't ended, it has simply changed form. Each bloom is a note, each leaf a rest, each trailing vine a measure in a new composition. The guitars may never play again, but they still perform, not for a crowd, but for the bees, the birds, and the summer air. As the sun dips below the horizon, the summer garden begins to change. The brilliance of daylight softens, replaced by the tender glow of evening. Then, almost like fireflies waking, the glass jar solar lights flicker on, one by one, turning the pathways into rivers of warm light. Each jar has its own character. Some are clear and smooth, letting the golden light spill freely across the flowers. Others are painted in gentle ombre shades, blush fading into cream, turquoise melting into pale blue, casting colored halos onto the grass. The jars are old, each one carrying faint imperfections, a bubble in the glass, a slight curve in the rim, a soft haze from years of use. The glow inside comes from small solar lights, charged all day by the sun. Their energy, borrowed from daylight, is given back at night, illuminating the garden without wires or noise. Along the pathway, the jars form a quiet procession, guiding steps past beds of lavender, marigolds, and daisies. The flowers, now lit from below, seem to float in pools of gold. Hanging from the pergola, other jars glow like suspended lanterns. They sway gently in the evening breeze, light scattering through the petals of roses and the starry blossoms of jasmine. Beneath them, a rustic dining table waits, its surface brushed with warm highlights from the jars above. The air here is thick with fragrance, sweet, floral, and touched with the faint earthiness of cooling soil. The magic of these lights is not just in their beauty, but in their simplicity. They were once containers for preserves, sauces, and drinks, now holding something far less tangible but no less nourishing: atmosphere. They invite conversation to linger longer, laughter to soften, and hearts to feel at home in the open air. By late evening, the sky has deepened into a velvet blue scattered with stars. The jars continue to glow, steady and warm, until the last bit of stored sunlight fades. In that quiet moment, they seem to whisper a promise, to shine again when the next sunset comes, to hold the light for just a little while longer. Here in the summer garden, they are not just lights. They are keepers of the day, lanterns of memory, glowing proof that even the simplest objects can hold a little bit of magic. In the heart of the summer garden, shade is a gift. Here, it comes not from the spread of a tree or the roof of a gazebo, but from something unexpected, a bloom-laden umbrella that once shielded people from rain and sun in a far less beautiful way. The frame is old, its metal bones showing through layers of soft pastel paint, coral, turquoise, and cream. Where fabric once stretched taut, now flowering vines twist and weave, filling the space with life. Morning glories spill in lazy tendrils, their trumpet blooms turning toward the light. Ivy winds tightly, its deep green a perfect counterpoint to the bursts of pink and purple from petunias and bougainvillea. Beneath this living canopy sits a rustic wooden bench, worn smooth from years of use. Sunlight filters through the blossoms, casting shifting patterns onto the bench and the ground below. It's a shade that feels alive, breathing with the wind, humming with the presence of bees drifting lazily from flower to flower. To one side, a small tea table rests under the umbrella's shelter. A pot of mint tea steams gently beside a plate of fresh strawberries, their sweetness mingling with the fragrance of lavender and roses carried in from the surrounding beds. The air is soft, touched with the faint coolness that comes from resting in the dappled shadows. This umbrella was once discarded, its fabric torn by storms, its frame bent and forgotten. But in the hands of a gardener's imagination, it found a new purpose, one that doesn't just protect from the sun, but celebrates it. For here, shade and sunlight exist together, in patterns that dance across faces, petals, and leaves. As afternoon drifts toward evening, the colors of the flowers deepen in the warm light. The umbrella seems almost to glow from within, its blooms catching the last rays of the sun before the shadows grow long. Guests linger beneath it, drawn by the comfort of its coolness and the beauty of its blooms. In this garden, the umbrella is no longer an object of mere function. It has become a centerpiece, a living sculpture, and a reminder that with a little creativity, even the most weathered things can be reborn, not just to serve, but to inspire.